Every time I hear that song, it just it keeps ringing inside of me. I think we're good. All right, and we are live. All right, we are live, and welcome to our Read and Rain Book Club. Hoping that you all had an amazing week. It has been a super busy day for us here in Philadelphia, trying to get as much done as we could before we actually leave the city tomorrow to head back to the South so that we can head down to Albany, Georgia, right? So, hoping that you all are amazing. And if you aren't or didn't have a great day, prayerfully, something that you hear today will change or alter the course of your day and of your life. We are on chapter 10 of Born Rich. So if you're new to book club, my name is Nina Moore. If this is your first time, so glad to have you. If you're here with us all the time, welcome back to all of our weekers, right? Our every weekers. I've been hosting this book club now since COVID, since about 2019. And one of the biggest reasons that I started this book club was to help people understand three things. One, that you cannot pour from an empty cup. So every Monday, I am here to fill your cup. Two, leaders are readers. And if we want to lead in any capacity, we must read. And then number three, and these are not in any order of importance, but we're never going to earn more than we learn. And so that is why I started book club. Another reason why is because people were bored during COVID. And what I also realized during that time, Mary Sue and Mary Fitzgerald, you guys are right next to each other. What I realized during that time is people will start a book, but generally don't finish it. Right. And I wanted to really help people. The gift that I have is help you to understand the mind of the author. So we don't just read the book, but God gives me downloads while we're reading. And prayerfully, there's something that you hear that helps to change or elevate your life. Now, something that I was looking up, and I don't know which phone I was on, my phone started ringing like crazy, is I like to look up words. And we're in chapter 10, the vacuum law of prosperity. You know, I was looking up the word vacuum tonight, and we're reading the book Born Rich. What's great about this book club is that you don't even need the book, right? Because I'm going to read it to you, for you, for some of you, with you. But I looked up the word vacuum, and I was very, very intrigued because what I thought vacuum was is not really what I thought vacuum was. And I'm getting ready to bless everybody. How many of you, I want to know what definition, don't go looking it up, but off the top of your head, put it in the comments what you believe the word vacuum means. Let me see. Let me see. Because what it means or what I thought it meant, right, to suck up, right? To suck up, right. Well, vacuum is an emptiness of space. The word vacuum means an emptiness of space. I know, but all of us thought it meant to extract or to pull up or to suck up. No, vacuum is an emptiness of space. It means a space absolutely devoid of matter. This is going to be very important as we get ready. I know Mary Fitzgerald is sitting over there like, now, wait, ho. I'm a principal, right? She's like, but I'm a principal. I know what that word means. No, that's why I said it's so important while we're reading to really understand what we're reading. And how many of us know we would never have looked that word up by ourselves? No, because we just believe we know what the word vacuum means. Vacuum also means it's a space partially exhausted. I said, wow, I didn't understand. It means vacant or void. So the book says the vacuum law of prosperity. Listen to what this says. And thank you so much to those of you who are still letting people in for me. It says nature absolutely arbors a vacuum. Disgust. Nature, the world itself arbors. The word is ABHORS, arbors, right? A vacuum, meaning even nature doesn't like what? Emptiness of space. Because the word, let me go back to the definition of arbor, right? So that you know what I'm talking about. Disgust is what that word means. All right. The word aber means regard with disgust and hatred. And this says nature absolutely arbors a vacuum. Do y'all hear that? Before we even get into this chapter 10, we need to understand what we're reading. So Bob Proctor says, I must dedicate this chapter to my Aunt Marge in appreciation of her childlike faith in and profound understanding of this most magnificent law governing prosperity. Let's look up what the word prosperity means. Because, see, people don't have a problem, Mary, with us talking about prosperity. But look at what we had to get to first before we can even talk about prosperity. Let's look up what is the definition of prosperity. Let's see, because I believe that we're going to be set free on this chapter. Now, this book has totally been like, whoa, 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 but I believe we're going to be, okay, prosperity literally is the state of being prosperous. Prosperity means flourishing, success, and well being, extending beyond just money to include good health, strong relationships, fulfilling work, and overall life balance involving both personal fulfillment, health purposes, happiness, and societal success, economic growth, opportunity, and security. That's what prosperity means. So prosperity isn't just money, which is why we see a lot of people who have a lot of money and still are what? Not happy. They're not prosperous. They have money, but they're not prosperous. All right. So even today, I seldom visit her without expressing her heartfelt gratitude to me for having taught her this great truth about the vacuum law of prosperity. I believe we're getting ready to learn something big about the vacuum law of prosperity. As a consequence of acquiring that knowledge, Marge and her entire family enjoy many of the comforts of life which they had previously been unable to experience, nor would they still be enjoying these finer things in life if it were not for the fact that she gained her new awareness. I want everybody to type in the word awareness, because I told you when we started reading the book Born Rich, you're not looking for anything new. What this book helps us to understand is, and to identify with, is that we're rearranging things that are already inside of us. We're not looking for stuff outside of us. We're just now becoming more aware of what's inside of us, right? And how we can best utilize what's inside of us, and how we may even need to rearrange some of the things that are inside of us. So this says, nor awareness. Although Marge happens to be my aunt, she is only a few years older than I am, and we have been very good friends since our childhood days. It says, he says, I love Marge and her entire family deeply. So I have derived a great degree of satisfaction from sharing the ideas contained in this chapter with Marge and her family over many years. It has been a particular joy for me to have had the opportunity of witnessing them apply this new knowledge so that they are living their lives in an entirely new way. When we get finished Born Rich, which is just a few pages and we're done, we must be willing now to live our life a totally new way, or this would have been a waste of our time, right? It says she's acknowledging that, and she's got knowledge. She's applying this new knowledge. So what we're going to do is apply this new knowledge so that we can live our lives in an entirely new way. Marge's first introduction to this dynamic law dates back approximately 10 years to the time when she and her family were attending a series of seminars that I was conducting on the subject of prosperity. Soon after the seminars had been completed, I visited Marge at her home. She and her husband Don and I were discussing ideas that had to do with prosperity. At some point, the issue of their home was raised. Marge looked at her living room because visibly upset and angrily proclaimed that she was sick and tired of living the way that they had been living. She pointed to the curtains and said, you know something? I absolutely detest these old drapes. I smiled at her and replied, no, you don't, Marge. You love them. Otherwise, you wouldn't have kept them so close to you. Whoa, rut-row. Rut-row, look, rut-row. You know how people say, this is just getting on my nerves. It can't possibly be getting on your nerves because you haven't made a change. Rut-row. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Melissa. Yikes! We're going to go back to the book. He says you couldn't possibly detest those drapes, or you wouldn't have kept them this long. For the only things we have in our life are those things that we love or are in harmony with. So we're keeping the things close to us that we love, or we're in harmony with them. You know, those bad habits. Y'all know, so a lot of people think that we could just break. This is why people don't move forward, because they really believe that we can break habits, but we really can't. What we do, Mia, is that we replace the bad habits with new ones. And when we replace the bad habits with new ones, we stop rehearsing the old habits. So when I stopped just sitting around binge eating on food that was bad for me, I replaced it with a different habit. And now most people go from one addiction to the other. So for a while, I went from food addiction to walking, to the point where even when I walked at a pace where I was like exercise walking. And we couldn't even enjoy going in the mall together, because it was always like I was exercise walking, because I went from one addiction to the other, right? Thankfully, that was a good habit. It wasn't maybe so good for the people trying to walk with me, but it was a good habit for me, right? That I went from a bad habit to a good habit. So it says, she pointed to the curtains, right? These old drapes. He says, nah, you don't have a problem with that. Marge told me that she had a difficult time accepting the idea that she could be in love with something she found so utterly displeasing. Anybody just want to say ouch right now? Anybody ready? Just ouch-hallelujah, right? Just ouch-hallelujah. She says, by this point, listen, Marge told me that she found it so utterly displeasing. How could she be in love with something that she found so utterly displeasing? By this point, Don was thoroughly convinced that we had both gone off our rockers, Marge for attempting to understand what I had been explaining, and me for actually believing it. Nevertheless, continuing with my explanation, I informed them that if a person remains continually in close proximity with something, be it another person or an object, it can only be because the person is in harmonious vibration with them or it. Paul just said this last week to somebody. Oh my goodness. So when you hanging around somebody and you don't really like them, well, what you with them for? What do we, the books, let me go back to the book, because this is the woo to the woo, right? In close proximity with something, or be it another person or an object, it can only be the person because the person is in harmonious vibration with them or it. The reason I explained is that love is just another word for resonance or harmonious vibration. Finally, I told them that what I had just stated was a law of the universe. Whether or not they fully understood it or even believed it made no difference whatsoever. Oh my goodness. So what are you really holding on to that you say you can't stand, that you say you don't like, but you still doing it because you love it? Because you're in harmony with that habit. You're in harmony with that behavior. You're in harmony with that way of thinking. Oh my gosh. I explained to Marge that if she really did detest these drapes, as she claimed, she would already have taken them down, had them cleaned, and given them away to the crippled civilians, the Salvation Army, St. Vincent de Paul, or some charity that would have been able to put them to good use. Because if we really didn't like it, we would move past it. Don looked at me in a state of bewilderment. Then he firmly asserted, she's not taking those drapes down because we have nothing to replace them with, nor can we afford to purchase a replacement. Uh-oh, here come the excuses. There's a great quote that I love. Excuses are the tools of the incompetent, and those that use them seldom have success. It's a great quote. Don looked at me in a state of bewilderment. So I remember saying to him in reply, Don, please understand, you will never hang new drapes or new curtains until you have first made a space for them. The real secret behind the vacuum law of prosperity lies in the fact that by giving the old drapes away, you would automatically have been making room for the new. In other words, you can't get something new until you are first willing to give something away. Bear in mind, however, that giving means letting go of completely or totally abandoning to another. This is an extremely difficult concept for a person who is solely attached to the material world to even comprehend, let alone practice. We discussed this information for a while longer, and then Marge moved herself into action. She began by taking down the drapes, which she had looked at in anger for so many years. By doing this, she was immediately ridding herself of the source of so many years of frustration, for every time she looked at or even thought about those drapes, a negative image would instantly flash across the screen of her mind. She would then move herself into a negative vibration and thereby begin to attract more of what she did not want into her life. Oh my goodness. So, how many of you that are listening right now, or maybe you're listening to the replay, how many of you are faced with right now knowing that you are doing nothing but attracting the negative vibrations that you say you don't want in your life because you won't let go of something or someone? Ooh-wee. This is a great way to end the year. This is a great way. This is a great way. Nevertheless, Marge would not back. He said she started, Don. So as she started removing the drapes from their hooks, Don came very near to exploding in a fit of rage. Oh, because we know oftentimes when we look to move forward, what happens, y'all? What happens? The people close to us, here they come. Here they come. Like, what you doing? You supposed to stay in your vomit. And they don't want you to move. So now Don is in a fit of rage. Nevertheless, Marge would not back down, even in the face of this tremendous opposition, because that's exactly what happens when we want to change. Here comes the opposition. Even in the face of opposition, she continued to act on the idea that I had planted in her mind. Don's response at this point was to say, well, I guess we're going to have to buy some new ones now, whether I like it or not. Oh my goodness. This little, we only a page in, y'all. This deserves one of them. This is the tea. Oh my goodness. I explained to them, listen, that at this juncture, they should not worry about how they would obtain the new drapes. The important thing was that they would soon have what they needed. The reason this was so, I explained, is not that difficult to comprehend. People will soon become tired of living their lives in a fishbowl. Oh my goodness. Let me tell y'all something. Let me help y'all with something. When we were living in Philadelphia, our address, we were 6415 North 21st Street. And I remember the day, and Tracy DeLoach might remember this, when I said, I'm moving. Y'all, we had no idea where we were going. I got boxes and I started packing the boxes. And everybody kept saying, but where are you moving to? And I said, I have no idea. But I started packing the boxes. I started getting rid of stuff. We didn't have an address. We didn't have a location. We didn't know what I knew was we getting up out of here. And every day I would get up and go to the door and open the door. And I would see myself still on that same block and get to work. Because I realized we no longer belong there. But if I had kept waiting to find a place, Mama Nisi, we would have kept finding an excuse or a reason to not move. It is when I took the stuff off the walls and I started getting uncomfortable because stuff was in boxes that it began to happen. I'm going to have to do that now when we get back to Georgia. I'm going to have to start taking the stuff off the walls because this is it. We got to move this year. This is it. So he said, I guess we're going to have to do it anyway. For a little while, Don and Marge lived without any drapes on their windows. Then one day I visited their home, and sure enough, Marge had the drapes that she wanted, and she had them right where she wanted them. Little by little, the awareness of this great truth had begun to creep into her consciousness. It wasn't long after that that there was no furniture left in their living room. Marge had, because guess what happened? After she replaced the drapes, now the furniture don't match. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Now the furniture don't match. Right? And you know what's so crazy? Right before we moved out into the suburbs, I bought a Benz, Mary, and I kept saying, Paul, we can't have this Benz sitting on the street. This Benz belong in a driveway. The Benz belong in a driveway. I bought my first Mercedes Benz. And let me tell you what happened. I'm going to put everybody's face. I need to see the faces. Let me tell you what happened. I was challenged. I was in Lima, Peru. And while in Lima, Peru, Pastor Sean, I was sitting there with some 7 and 8 figure income earners sitting in Lima, Peru. And one of them asked me, Mary Sue, she said, I started to ask, I know that I'm doing well. And I said, I had made a lot of money at that point. I was selling my story. I had lost a lot of weight. And I felt like I was doing well, but I felt like there was a thing like I hadn't gotten over the hump at Miss Edna, right? And so I sat there and I said, what do you think? She said, I can't. And she kept saying, I can't believe with your story that you haven't already crossed $1 million. That's what she said. So she said, what kind of car do you drive? And I said, what car was it, Paul? Saturn? What? A Saturn Outlook. I said, I think it was a Saturn Outlook, right? I said, I drive a Saturn Outlook. She leaned up on the table and she said, I don't mean no harm, but what's that? She said, what kind of car is that? I said, it's an SUV. And she was looking at me dumbfounded, Dr. Vanessa, like dumbfounded. And she said, I bet you if you elevate your car, she said, because how do you expect for anybody to believe that you're making money and you're still driving a Saturn? She said, what is it again? I said, a Saturn Outlook. I told my husband, listen to this. When I get home, I need you to take me to the Mercedes-Benz dealership. We landed in Philadelphia and I went straight from the airport. See, because something happens, Zena, when you take action quickly. And I took action, not that I just take action, I left the airport and went straight to the Mercedes dealership and bought my first Mercedes-Benz. And I was sitting there thinking, because it wasn't hard at all, I was trying to figure out, why did I not do it sooner? She said, if you want people to believe that you are influential, you got to look influential. She said, when you pull up to a meeting in that vehicle, it speaks a language your mouth isn't speaking. She said that to me. I went on to earn $500,000 in 18 months in that company. I need you to understand, it's not just about the Benz. I hope you heard what I said. That it was about, one, you can't ask somebody for mentorship, they give it to you, and then you sit around with the information that they give you, which is what most people do. They wait until they can believe it. I didn't care what she said, that's what I needed to do. See, this woman had already earned more money than me. So what I did was I got in the car with Paul and we went straight to the dealership. You know why? Let me tell you why, Pastor Sean. I knew that if I had gone home, I would have given myself time to talk myself out of it. So I went straight to the dealership from the airport so that I didn't talk myself out of it. When you take action, you don't have a chance to talk yourself out of what you know you should be doing. Can I get a whoop whoop in the comments? All right, so listen to this. They lived without drapes for a while. Boom. Little by little, the awareness of this great truth had begun to creep into their consciousness. It wasn't long after there was no furniture left. Marge had been tired of living with it. And then it says, by doing so, she automatically created the space she required for the good she desired. How many of you now know that you have to create a space for the good that you desire? You now have to create the space required for the good that you desire. It's like the law of sowing and reaping. There are too many people that believe that they're going to reap a harvest from seeds that they haven't sown. And they sow them one time and then they don't water them, they don't nurture them, nothing. There's no way. It's the law. We can't go around it. We can't go above it. We can't go under it. It is the law. We will reap what we sow. So it says, soon their entire home had been completely refurnished and redecorated. And now she has it just the way she wants it. A few days ago, my wife and I were visiting Don and Marge in their home. And as we were driving away, Linda said to me, their home looks really nice, doesn't it? I couldn't help but smile, knowing the background and having been an integral part of many battles that had taken place each time something had been given away. The last time I spoke to Marge on the phone, she said, isn't it incredible what a tremendous difference a little bit of knowledge can make in your life? You only have to learn a little bit to receive much. You only have to learn a little bit to receive so much. The statement is so true. A little bit of awareness does make a tremendous difference in your results. Ask yourself, what do you have lying around that you don't like? Then ask yourself, why don't you just package it up, give it away, and make space for the good that you really do desire? Remember, this is the law. This law I have been discussing applies to every aspect of your life. On numerous occasions during my seminars, I have discussed this law. I have explained to audiences that although almost everyone likes to have new clothes, most people have no room for them in their closets. In fact, when they hang something in their closet, they probably have to push other clothes aside just to fit another hanger on the bar. The irony is that many of the clothes that are hanging in your closet, you probably don't even wear. I'm going to say ouch to that. In saying this, I am well aware that some of your clothes may have been expensive, so you are reluctant to dispose of them. However, you know as well as I do that some of the clothes in your closet are hanging there simply because they don't feel comfortable to you when you put them on. There is something about them that you do not like. Therefore, I would strongly suggest simply give them away. And by doing this, you will automatically be making room for new clothes, which are inevitably going to follow. Set the following project for yourself and carry it out right now. Check your closet carefully, as if with a fine-tooth comb, and remove all the clothes that you no longer wear. Once you have done this, simply give them away. By doing this, you would create a vacuum or a void. Since nature arbors a vacuum, this is so good. It will only be relatively a short period of time before your closet is once again full of clothes. This time, however, it will be full of clothes that you really do want to wear. Because remember, we talked about the law. We talked about the law when we opened up this chapter, Mary. There's no way that the law can't be the law. If the law says that nature arbors, it is disgusted by emptiness and void. So we don't have to worry about there being emptiness and void for long if we practice the law. So this says this process is alluding, right? This process is alluding to this process I have been alluding to, is a never-ending one. So you should plan to practice it all the days of your life. You must continually be making space for the good that you desire. Keep this information constantly in the forefront of your mind. For the crucial element of the vacuum law of prosperity is that you must let go of the old before you will ever make room for the new. Another word of caution: never sell the articles you no longer want. Just give them away. Although the advice might run contrary to the way in which you have been conditioned to live, you must understand this, that in giving, you will also be receiving. On the other hand, if you sell the articles, the money you receive from them will be all that you will get in the bargain. This may sound like a peculiar approach to take, but it is nonetheless the proper one. Please understand that you can never give too much of anything. Nevertheless, when you do give, fully expect to receive something in return. Very rarely will you receive from the source that you gave to, but receive you must. Just as surely as rain must fall when two clouds collide, Gaining a good grounding in this universal law will be of great personal benefit to you. Remember also that you are not working with specific individuals or with specific things. Rather, you are dealing with an infinite power that operates in a very exact way. As a consequence, whenever we wish to receive anything new into our life, we must trigger the process by making room for it. This law applies not only to our physical world, but also to our mental domain. Whenever we wish to entertain new ideas, we must first be willing to let go of or challenge some of our old ones. I'm a pause. I'm a take a little. I want everybody to breathe right there because we said it last week. If we could, if we had everything that we wanted right now, there would be no room or no need for change. But because we all agreed that there is so much more that we all wanted, right? We all agreed that we have not become the person necessary to acquire the things we say we want. That whomever we've got to become to acquire what we desire hasn't happened yet. Because if it had, we would already have what we desire. So now, who do we have to become? Because this is also mental. Who do we have to become? Who do we have to become? Gaining is good grounding. It says, so this law applies not only to our physical world, but also our mental domain. Whenever we wish to entertain new ideas, we must first be willing to let go of or challenge some of our old ones. How we used to do, people always say, well, that's just how I am. That's the way I've been. The ones that say, well, that's the way I've been doing things. And that's exactly why you've got the results that you got. Because you've been doing them that way. That doesn't serve us moving forward. So unfortunately, a large segment of the population has an exceedingly difficult time achieving this end. These troubled individuals often entertain opposing and contradictory ideas at one and the same time. They live their entire lives in a state of isolation, thinking, do it, don't do it, do it, don't do it, do it, don't do it. This mental state is commonly referred to as indecision. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I see people like putting their head down, like, uh-oh. Indecision. And it leads to a considerable mental anguish and confusion. What does the Bible say about being double-minded? That you're unstable in all your ways. Be aware that indecision or confusion can be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, causes holding people back from accomplishing great things. So here's why we hold on to the old. Why we hold on so strongly to old ideas or to old things. I have no doubt that you will agree that this is an intriguing question. It is so intriguing that if you were to ask 1,000 different people the same question, you would probably obtain enough answers to fill a book. Unfortunately, almost all of the answers would be dealing with the secondary causes and not the primary one of this horrendous problem. If you were to go directly to the primary cause of the problem, you would soon discover that although it lies deep within each individual, it is virtually the same for everyone. Let me not hold you to suspense any longer. The answer is as follows. We hold on to old ideas and old things because we lack faith in our ability to obtain new ideas and new things. Yikes! I'm going to read what the book says one more time. We hold on to old ideas and old things because we lack faith in our ability to obtain new ideas and new things. Yikes! So it's like, well, what if I, if I got to learn this new skill set, what if I get it wrong? Or what if I don't do it? What if I don't do it as well as I did my last thing? And what if I lose my friends in the process? What if they don't want to hang around me no more? And what if I this? And what if I that? What if? Uh-oh. 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 Just say ouch. This leads to a condition of insecurity. Uh-oh. Which stems from an inability to understand who and what you are. A lack of awareness of your true relationship with the infinite power will always leave you with a distorted image of yourself. Oh my goodness. You must reach the point where you realize that your true self knows no limits. In truth, you are quite capable of having, doing, or being virtually anything you desire. When individuals fail to appreciate this basic truth, when they are honestly convinced that their supply is limited and that their real security lies in money or things, they will be afraid to try anything new. It takes no great wisdom to understand that they will want to hold on to what they already have and will try to accumulate more of the same. You know what's so crazy? Is a person who's won big or made a lot of money. Y'all do know that they can do it again. If they lost it all, they can do it again. Because it's not about the money. It's about the person. It's about the skill set. It's about the talent that allows you to be able to duplicate it again. So you've seen many people go through bankrupt and they get right back again. They go right back again. I remember being terminated from a company and then boom, in less than 90 days, boom, right back at the top again. Because when you can do it over and over and over again. It has nothing to do with the money. There are people who start businesses with no money. Uh-oh. They start because they have an idea. They start because they have a work ethic. So if you desire, you may put this vacuum law of prosperity to a very simple practical test. It says just take an ordinary cup and set it on the table. Then ask yourself whether you are able to put anything else where that cup rests. The answer, of course, is that you cannot, at least not until you remove the cup. The same principle holds true with respect to a piece of furniture. As long as your sofa sits where it is presently sitting, you cannot put a new sofa in its place. Similarly, as long as your clothes hang where they are hanging, you cannot put new clothes in their place. This principle also applies to the realm of ideas. For example, if you have one idea in your mind suggesting that you should be traveling east, and then all of a sudden another idea pops into your mind suggesting that you should be traveling west, you will be placed in a serious bind. There is no way that you can travel in both directions simultaneously. It is essential to let go of one idea before you can move yourself into action on the other. The reason for this, as we have already stated, is that nature truly harbors a vacuum. Nature is disgusted when there is void or lack or space. Nature disgusts it. That is why, think about it. In spring, what happens? Naturally, what starts to happen in the spring? Boom, the grass starts to turn green. The flowers start to buzzing. The bees come back out. The birds start chirping. Naturally, it's like it's a systematic thing. So if you sincerely desire to receive something new, you must first make room for it by ridding yourself of the old. This is an ironclad law of life. Yet you might encounter only one person in 1,000 who truly understand it. But when you do encounter that one person in 1,000, you will see someone who not only lives in extreme comfort today, but is moving ahead in life each day and at a fairly rapid rate of speed. Put the law to the test in your own life. Use the ideas in this chapter and you will find that the law works every time because it never fails. You got to remove the kinks from your mind. It says God never expresses himself other than perfectly. Therefore, whatever imperfection does exist is always the result of our individual or collective modes of thinking. Since this is true, it is not necessary to hold on to anything for fear of losing it. In fact, you will never truly enjoy anything you must hold on to because freedom from all negative areas of your life is absolutely essential if you are to grow into the great human being that you are capable of one day becoming. Stated slightly differently, We can say that energy must flow through you freely without any obstructions if you are to achieve the good that you desire. At this point, you might be asking, what are those obstructions? Well, let me list some of them. They include doubt, guilt, resentment, and any thoughts or lack of limitations. They include any negative ideas, which tend to block the flow of creative energy to you, to and through you. I'm going to say that one more time. At this point, you might be asking, well, what are those obstructions? They include doubt, guilt, resentment, and any thoughts of lack or limitation. They include any negative ideas, which tend to block the flow of creative energy to and through you. Any negative ideas. Oh my goodness. You might be attempting to get a beautiful image in your mind, which would cause you to feel wonderful, but because of these inhibitors, as they are sometimes called, you end up with nothing but frustration. Your problem, whether you realize it or not, is that you haven't created the space for the beautiful image that you are trying to create. You must resolve to let go of all of these obstructions to make a space for the good that you desire. You know what I found out, Mama Nisi? You know what I found out, Mia? Most times people can't make this space so that they can see themselves in a way where they're viewing what they desire. You know why? Because they're comparing themselves to someone else. And because when you start comparing yourself to someone else, guess what? Guess what's going to happen? Guess what happens? Comparison is the thief of joy. So you never move any forward because you think, well, I can't say it like her. Well, I can't do it like them. Well, I think about how bad my videos used to be. And I think about how bad my videos used to, they was bad. My videos were so bad. My kids used to talk about me bad, right? About how bad my videos were. Mom, they just bad, right? And guess what I kept doing, Mia? I kept doing them. And I kept doing them. And I kept doing them until they got good, or at least they got better, right? And then I was thinking about how I would watch someone else who was making a lot more money than me. And guess what I finally found out, Mia? All the time when I was sitting around thinking like, well, dang, why her videos look like that? And why my videos looking like that? Because I found out she was spending $30,000 a month on marketing. So see, while I was sitting there thinking that maybe I shouldn't, because mine don't really look that good. You don't know what a person is doing behind the scenes. She was spending $30,000 a month on marketing. Well, I was just starting out. So don't allow yourself to get trapped up in your chapter 1 and somebody else's chapter 100. So you won't move because you're saying, well, it don't look like that person's. What that got to do with anything? Because you don't know how many nights I laid awake. I was up all night long. And you can ask my husband. There'll be times when we're in a car and I'm trying to grab a new technique or something like that in a video. And I will sit in the car and play that thing over and over and over and over and over again until I get it. And I'll say to myself, I'm going to get this before. This is not going to beat me. This will not beat me. And I will do it over and over and over. And I look up videos and I find out if I want to edit some kind of way. Let me go on YouTube and find out what YouTube says about it. And I'm certain that there's some kind of video to show me how to do it. And now I understand that you get good when you keep repeating over and over and over again. Here's what happens. You do it bad one time and you stop. Because you did it bad one time. You'll never get good doing it bad one time. Well, I just don't care. I'm going to keep doing it until I get it, until I get better and better. And now I can edit a video with my eyes closed darn near. With my eyes closed. Because I practiced and I've practiced and I practiced and I still practice. And I practice some more. And so when people ask me, if I'm winning at something, I'm like, I expect to make all the shots I'm practicing for. Why would I be surprised that I'm making the shots I've been in the gym for? Why are we surprised if you're winning when you've been practicing? What is there to be surprised with? No, I'm just elated because all the practice turned into that. You know why most people be all starstruck crazy? Because it happened by osmosis. They don't know how it happened, so they can't do it again. Because you really weren't practicing. It just happened. And guess what? You might luck up and get one. You might luck up and get one. But it won't keep happening unless you practice. And you practice some more. And now, you know, Paul, it was so hard when we first started editing videos. Now you can go to CapCut, take the video, put it in there, and let AI do it. You don't even have to be good anymore. You just have to do. And that is what the book is talking about. You don't even have to be good. You don't even have to know how to edit. See, before you used to have to know how to edit. We was working hard back just 2 years ago. And now you mean you can put it in a CapCut and CapCut will cut the video up for you and take the best parts from it. And you don't have to do a thing but record the video and just put it in there. See, now you're just making excuses because you keep thinking that it's hard. So people just wait around and sit around and wait for Nina to do her videos because they're going to be good. And you're waiting around for that when all you got to do is go put your stuff in CapCut and let CapCut cut it up for you. You don't even have to think. With AI, we don't even have to think. So this says at this point, it says, say this slightly different. We can always say the energy flow must flow. Let me go back. Face freedom, all your life, opposite and outside of your grow. We're going to remove the kinks from our minds. Since this is the truth, since this is true, it is not necessary to hold on to anything for fear of losing it, right? It's where we were. Stated slightly different, we can say that energy must flow through you freely without any obstructions if you are to achieve the good you desire. So you asked what the obstructions were. We talked about all of those negative things. You should visualize your body as being an instrument through which a non-physical creative energy flows. Liken it to an ordinary garden hose. We got 15 minutes. To an ordinary garden hose, which you may be using to water the garden at the back of your home. Suppose for a moment that you decide to water the flower bed in the front of your home. In order to accomplish this, you must drag the hose to the front. But while you're dragging it, suppose that you form a loop in the hose. And as you pull on it, unbeknownst to you, it kinks. It kinks. This is what's going on in the mind. As soon as you go to move forward, here come that neighbor. Here come that spouse. Here come that cousin. Here comes somebody that was in a company with you before. Here come that blah, blah, blah. And here come the kink in the water hose. Although there is an abundance of water at the source, the water will just be trickling out of the hose a drop at a time onto the flower bed. The kink is obstructing the flow of the water, which, if it were allowed to flow freely, could breathe new life into the plants. In a similar manner, the negative concepts you hold in your mind are obstructing the flow of energy that could, if given the chance, breathe new life into you and into your results. In the case of the garden hose, you would immediately investigate to find the cause of the uninterrupted flow of water. And once you find the kink, you would remove it so the water could resume flowing freely in a steady stream. The process that I have described for the garden hose is exactly the same process that you must undertake with respect to your marvelous mind. You must let go of all of the obstructions that are hampering you. Release the mental kinks, and you will immediately find that there is no lack of creative energy at the source. Everybody type that in there. There is no lack of creative energy. There is no lack of creative energy at the source. There is no lack of creative energy at the source. No lack. Oh my goodness. In truth, there never has been any, and there never will be. The mental kinks that you have carelessly and very likely unconsciously built are limiting the flow of the life-giving power that ultimately transform your results in life. Each chapter in this book has highlighted various concepts that you must begin to use if you are to enjoy the benefits from simply permitting the power to flow freely through you. You have now read this entire book. I would like to suggest that you go back to the beginning to compare the results you are presently obtaining in your life with the results that you could obtain were you to make proper use of each idea. Study each chapter very seriously, but in a relaxed state, and keep acting on each idea until it becomes a fixed part of your personality structure. Regardless of how the results of your life may presently appear to you, you have truly been born rich. God's gift to you is more talent and ability than you will ever use in one lifetime. Your gift to God is to develop and utilize as much of that talent and ability as you can in this lifetime. You are one and only you. Every single blade of grass, every flake of snow is just a wee bit different. There's no two alike, from something small like grains of sand to each gigantic star. All were made with this in mind, to be just what they are. How foolish then to imitate, how useless to pretend, since each of us comes from a mind whose ideas never end. There'll only be just one of me to show what I can do. And you should likewise feel very proud. There's only one of you. That is where it all starts, with you, a wonderful, unlimited human being. That is the end of Born Rich. Congratulations, everybody, to everyone who finished this book. If you didn't, all the recordings are live they should be on our YouTube. You are able to go back. I really, really would love for all of you. That's right. Type it out. I am born rich, right? Type it out. I am born rich, right? We got some visitors, y'all. So that's what y'all hearing. The little doggies are barking because she want me to give her some attention, and I can't pick her up yet. All right. I am born rich, born rich. So listen, here's what we're going to do. We're right smack dab at the end of the year, and I want us to wait till the first week of January before we start our new book. Is that okay? So we're going to give ourselves the next, I think it's 2 Mondays, right? Is it 2 Mondays? We'll give ourselves, is it 1 or 2? 2 Mondays off. And then the very first Monday, I'm going to make sure I post it. January 5th is going to be our first book club for 2026. I will be announcing in my stories and on my page what book we're going to for those of you that do desire to buy the book. But congratulations to every single one of you. You should feel accomplished that you finished this book. So we're going to go ahead and get off of here because we have about not even an hour, right? About 55 minutes before we start our Monday Vision Mastery call at 7:45. And so I am so grateful to have been able to host you with this book, Born Rich by Bob Proctor. He's my uncle in my mind, right? And my mentor. This is a fantastic one, and you would love to put it in your library because it was just that good. It was very, very, very impactful. So listen, enjoy the rest of your evening. We pray to see you in about less than an hour right back here on this Zoom line. Enjoy the rest of your week. Be kind to one another. Do a good deed, and let's pay it forward. And I guess all of us going to be giving some stuff away out of our closet, right? We'll be giving some stuff away out of the house because the book just told us to clean house, right? And Paul and I have actually been doing that. We've been cleaning house, bags. We have been getting rid of bags and bags and bags of clothes. I just got rid of one. He lying. You just took my bag. You just took a whole contractor bag for me. And now I got some more to get rid of. He's been getting rid of his stuff. I don't have to get rid of my stuff too, because that just means that we'll make room for more. Right, y'all? So listen, we'll see you at the beginning of the year. Look, Jessica said I already did. Right? So listen, y'all got you know that God loves you. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. We'll see you in about